Thank you for listening to my daddy's podcast.
Hey, don't let these tears fool you. There's all dog around this mug. I'm good.
Hey, what's going on, Who Dat Nation? It is yours truly, TJAY Jones. And yes, I am the host of the State of the Saints podcast. Thank you so much for checking out the State of the Saints podcast, where we talk New Orleans Saints. Hope everybody had a good day. I'm actually recording this in the afternoon, and I really do appreciate your time. I noticed that the notification did not go out. That's the reason why I kind of waited a few minutes. I don't know why it does that, man. Sometimes it kicks out notifications, sometimes it doesn't. But however you found it, thank you so much for allowing the State of the Saints podcast to be a part of your listening and viewing pleasure. On this edition, we're going to be talking about Saints quarterback Derek Carr and his quarterback rating, or his preseason quarterback rating. Is it too high or is it too low? And we're also going to be taking some of your questions and reading some of your comments here on the show. Now, this episode was supposed to be about the NFL schedule, but the NFL schedule has been kicked back a few days. So that episode is going to be next week. And that's when we're going to officially open up the phone lines, because that is officially the start of the season. But shouts out to everybody in the chat right now. Shouts out to everybody listening, whether you're at work, you're at the gym, you're on the go, wherever you're doing. Really do appreciate it. Special shout out to all the people that are out there right now. And it's very, very simple. If you just rolled up on this show and this is your first time checking out the State of the Saints podcast, first and foremost, thank you very much. But we're a very interactive podcast. And all you have to do, you don't have to go out here and shuck out a bunch of money. Now, I appreciate the donations as they come in, the super chat. Shouts out to you all. But we're a very interactive show, and all you have to do is put them comments in the chat. Hey, what's going on? It's TJAY Jones, the host of the State of the Saints podcast, and we're about to do what it do, baby. You probably have something to say about the black and gold that's burning hard in your soul. Take those fingers, give them the working. Put them comments in the chat.
Put those comments. Put them in the chat.
All you got to do is go ahead and put them things in the chat.
I want to hear what you got to say.
I want to hear from you.
Talk to me and not so bad.
Oh, you ain't got to worry about it. All you got to do is talk to me. I talk back to you now.
Put those comments. Put them in the chat.
All you got to do is put them comments in the chat.
I want to hear what you got to say.
I want to hear from you.
Talk to me and not so bad.
Talk to me. I guarantee you, I'm going to talk right back to you.
Nice.
Yes. Put those comments in the chat. Now, got to give a special shout out to all the people that may not be able to catch this live, probably didn't get the notification, and probably have something to say after the show. Shouts out to them after show boys.
Shouts out to them after show boys. Shouts out to them after show boys. They be tweeting and be posting, they be tweeting and be posting, they be tweeting. Yeah, them after show boys. They be tweeting and be posting, they be tweeting and be posting, they be tweeting. Yeah, them after show boys.
Yes, sir. Shouts out to all the ASBs and the ASGs out there that might catch this after it's live. But let's go ahead and get into it. Man. I know everybody excited. Everybody ready to talk about this topic, man. Everybody's favorite Saints quarterback, Derek Carr. Derek Carr, man. Derek Carr. As we all know, Derek Carr is the Saints starting quarterback. He came to the Saints in 2023. got that $150 million contract, $100 million guaranteed. Y'all heard the story. We've heard this over and over again. And Derek Carr last season had some ups and he had some downs. I'm reading the stat line here. He threw for 3,878 yards, 25 touchdowns, 8 interceptions, had a quarterback rating of 97.7, and had a 68.4% completion percentage. And, none of those stats look like you had a down season. But when you put everything together and you watch the entire season and how it all came together, you have to say that Derek Carr left a lot to be desired. Now, like once again, I said before, Derek Carr came to New Orleans Saints, high expectations. He was dealing with injuries throughout last season. Of course, we already know about the shoulder injury, possible concussion, something going on with the ribs, just everything that was going on with Derek Carr, but he did not miss a game. So for that, I want to give him credit for that. I mean, he showed a warrior spirit, but, a lot of people still don't look at this stat line as something that is very, very promising, especially since a lot of these stats, a lot of people consider garbage time. Yes, and that will be and yes, that will be the new the new button when we talk about garbage stats, okay? I gotta do that one more time. Yeah, a lot of garbage time stats. So a lot of Saints fans are not excited about Derek Carr, and as far as the future of him being the Saints starting quarterback. But once again, 3,878 yards, 20 plus touchdowns, only 8 picks. I mean, that's something to build off of. And of course, we know that a lot of what the Saints were dealing with offensively, Saints fans have been talking about. They needed to go in a different direction. The Saints go out, they get a new offensive coordinator in Clint Kubiak. He brings in a different type of offense that's going to be a little bit different, probably going to be run dominant. So that's going to help Derek Carr. But CBS Sports ain't buying it, folks. They ain't buying it. They are not buying it. They said, hells to the no. I don't care what y'all get. I don't care if y'all get Clint Kubiak, Garrett Kubiak. I don't care who you get. It don't matter because Derek Carr is ranked number 26 on the CBSSports.com list. They list all of the starting quarterbacks in the National Football League. And they ranked our quarterback, Derek Carr, number 26. Now, I got a poll going up. It's going up on a Thursday if you're watching this live. I got it. If you want to take the poll, go ahead and go to X. Follow me at TJAY Jones 8. Take the poll question right now. As of right now, we got about 50 votes. And it says, was Derek Carr preseason quarterback ranking too high or too low? And as of right now, 64% says it was too low. And you got 36% said it was too high. So that's that's very, very telling right there. A lot of people are not they looking at it like it was just, it wasn't. I can't believe this, man. Like, unbelievable. Look, I have my thoughts and my feelings about Derek Carr, but even I feel that's a little bit much right there, man. It's a little bit much. This guy, he don't deserve to be number 26, man, especially like when you look at this list. Like, I'm not the biggest Derek Carr supporter at this stage. I was advocating around this year because I felt that he could be the guy that can help the Saints be able to, get across these narrow, uncharted waters post Drew Brees. I was on board. But, as time goes on, I don't know about all that. But I am not going to say this man deserves to be the 26th ranked quarterback in all of the league. Now, I'm going to go ahead and read this list, and I'm going to go ahead and pull it up, man, so y'all can see what I'm looking at in real time here. Let me go ahead and pull this up. This is according to CBS Sports once again. So let me go ahead and put that up on the screen. Hopefully everybody can see it. There it is. All right, so we got the 2024 NFL quarterback power rankings. Now, these are some, some very, usual suspects on this list. I mean, number one is Patrick Mahomes. I mean, that goes without saying. He's a reigning Super Bowl MVP, one of the best quarterbacks of his generation. Then it started to get a little kooky. I understand Brock Purdy was the runner-up quarterback in the Super Bowl, but come on, man. He is not the second best quarterback in the league. Josh Allen, number 3. Joe Burrow, number 4. CJ Stroud, number 5. Lamar Jackson, number 6. Now, keep in mind, Lamar Jackson was playing at an MVP type level because he was the freaking MVP, but he's number 6. You got Jalen Hurts at number 7, Dak Prescott at number 8, Justin Herbert at number 9, Jordan Love at number 10. Let's just start with the top 10 right here. Now, all of these guys, in my opinion, had really good stellar seasons. They had really good seasons, right? I have no problem with that whatsoever. I have no problem with some of these names on the list. Now, their ranking and their positioning, you can argue with, but they deserve to be on the list. Their teams had really good seasons. They played really well, so I can understand that. But this is where things start to get a little bit weird, in my opinion, as you start looking at it. You got number 11, Aaron Rodgers. How in the world is Aaron Rodgers ranked higher than Derek Carr? I can't believe I'm defending Derek Carr right now, but it's the truth. Aaron Rodgers only played 4 snaps, 4, before he was injured, tore his Achilles, and we didn't see him anymore. Now, I feel like it's completely unfair because if you got CJ Stroud on the list, you're basing your rankings on the guys being available last season. Aaron Rodgers wasn't available. Now, if you're talking about Aaron Rodgers being a great quarterback, I can see. But the fact that you put CJ Stroud in the top 10, I have to say, or I have to believe that you're making this list based on the performances of last season. Then you got Tua Tagovailoa, not mad at that, had a pretty good season. Jared Goff had the Detroit Lions in the NFC Championship game. Kirk Cousins, who tore his Achilles, didn't play the entire season. He only played a handful of games, but he's on the list at number 14. You got Trevor Lawrence. You got Matthew Stafford. You got Deshaun Watson. I mean, give me a freaking break. Deshaun Watson, when the last time he played a substantial amount of games in the National Football League? If you combine his injuries and some of the off-the-field issues, how is he on this list? You got Geno Smith. Not mad at it. Geno Smith has been the comeback player of the year, got that contract in Seattle. Russell Wilson, I mean, pretty steady season. Not the best, but then you got Baker Mayfield, Kyler Murray, who barely played, Will freaking Levis. You got Caleb Williams, who hasn't taken a snap yet. Anthony Richardson, who only played about 4 or 5 games last season. J.J. McCarthy, who hasn't taken a snap yet. They're saying that these guys are better than Derek Carr. Like, come on, man. Give me a freaking break here. Like I said, I'm not the biggest Derek Carr supporter that you ever going to see. I want him to succeed as the Saints quarterback. But come on, folks. Even if you're the biggest Derek Carr hater, you have to admit that this is a little bit of a misleading power ranking right here. Like they got quarterbacks that haven't even taken a snap ahead of Derek Carr. Now you have to admit, you have got to admit that this is a little bit wrong. Now, regardless to how you may feel about it, the guy deserves to be at least in the top 15. Yeah, at least in the top 15. Yeah, that was just mad disrespectful right there. That is just mad disrespectful. I couldn't believe this, man. I could not believe it. But you have to believe that the reason why they have him as low as they do is because of how we all feel. Look, I'm sorry, folks, but I got to keep it 100. Y'all know how I do it. And if you're new to the channel, I'm real. I love the New Orleans Saints, but we got to keep it real here. The reason why Derek Carr is ranked so low on this list is the same reason why some of us believe that the New Orleans Saints are not going to be as successful as they can be. And that is because Dennis Allen is the head coach of the Saints, and Derek Carr hasn't won anything. He hasn't won a thing, folks. I'm sorry. Look, we, as many apologists as Derek Carr has. As a matter of fact, if you don't believe me, go on X right now and tweet about Derek Carr and tweet some of your displeasures if you have some. And watch the Vegas Raider faithful come out here and defend this guy with everything that they have. They're going to blame everything and all of the situations that happen with the Saints, and they are not going to pay attention to what Derek Carr has done. That is just what comes with Derek Carr. But you can make as many excuses as you want to. You can talk about, oh, it was too hot outside. Oh, the Saints had on black and they were playing in 90-degree weather. Oh, he had a shoulder injury. Oh, the offensive line wasn't doing this. The running game wasn't doing that. P. Carmichael wasn't doing this. But the reality is, you have a guy who has been in the league for 11 seasons and has never won a playoff game. This guy only has a handful of 10-win seasons. You have to call a spade a spade. In order for Derek Carr to get the respect that he probably feels he deserves, in order for Derek Carr to be mentioned among some of the best, he has got to win. It's just that simple. You can make up as many excuses as you want to, but the reality is you have got to win. If you do not win, people are going to disrespect you. Nobody is checking for the New Orleans Saints is because they don't believe in Derek Carr as the quarterback. The reason why he's ranked number 26, and you have, I'm not saying this, according to analytics, the worst head coach in the NFL. This isn't me saying that. This is what the statistics are saying. If you look at the rankings of coaches in the National Football League at the end of the 2023 season, Dennis Allen was wearing what 28 or 29th? And he is the only coach below that poll right there that still has a job. So by default, he is the worst coach in the National Football League. And when people feel that way, they are going to disrespect you. And honestly, I can't believe I'm saying this, but I don't even look at it as disrespect, because the way the Saints have been underachieving over the last couple of years, people can look at that as disrespectful. So if you want respect, you have to earn it. Nobody just walks up and just automatically gets respect. You get respect by your actions, the things that you do. And if Derek Carr and Dennis Allen wants the respect of the NFL world, you got to win. You got to win the games that are important. You got to be able to crush the competition, and you got to be able to perform at the highest level in the biggest moments. All this talking, all this assuming, all this, oh, if we had this, if the offensive line did that, bump all that. Because the reality is you got guys that haven't even taken a snap or 3 snaps ahead of you. So that tells me that nobody, I won't say nobody, but the majority of those that were voting don't respect you as a quarterback. So what are you going to do about Derek Carr? What are you going to do about it? Are you going to, talk to, the New Orleans.com or NOLA.com and talk about how you were trying to, get a house and pack up your boxes and all that kind of stuff there. And I was so focused on, eating at places other than Chipotle. Look, nobody cares about that stuff, bro. It sounds like a bunch of excuses. You got quarterbacks that move from town to town every day, B. CJ Stroud didn't know anything about the National Football League and had the Texans winning the South. So all those excuses and all those things that are going on and happening, and I got to move my family here. That's cool and that's understandable. But I mean, right now it just sounds like a bunch of excuses until you actually win. It's not like it's justified. Like if your head isn't like focused on the game because you got a lot of stuff going on, I understand. But a seasoned veteran like yourself should be able to compartmentalize. So prove them wrong, Derek. Like if you don't believe it, prove them wrong. Prove them wrong. Let's see what 2024 has in store for number 4. Has in store for number 4. That rhymes. But let me go ahead and read some of your comments, and then we'll go ahead and we'll go from there. It says Lamar Jackson at number 6. CBS needs to lay off the drugs seriously. Yeah, I don't understand that, Jules. I don't. I know you're a Baltimore Ravens fan, but Lamar Jackson is the reigning MVP, league MVP. How in the world is he ranked number 2? Like, I don't care if they didn't go to the Super Bowl. Like, they were in the AFC Championship game. They ran up against the Kansas City Chiefs. You know, I don't know what the heck was going on. They picked the worst day to play their worst game. But, I mean, the guy is the league MVP. So how in the world is he not ranked number 2? As a matter of fact, he won the MVP twice. So how in the world can he not be a top 3 quarterback? I don't understand that. Carr, a good number 15. Yeah, I give him 15. Middle of the pack. You know, I mean, number 15 to me is the type of quarterback that on a certain day, he can look like one of the best, right? Kirk Cousins is like a 15 quarterback to me. Dak Prescott is a 15 quarterback to me. You know, guys like that. The guys that can perform, like if they go up against an elite quarterback on a good day, they can actually go toe-to-toe with. And we've seen Derek Carr do this. I mean, we've seen him like with the Raiders. Not the last time he was with the Raiders, they played the Saints, but there was a game where I think around the time Brandon Cooks was still with the Saints, and he was going toe-to-toe with Drew Brees, and they won that game. So, you know, like there are times where he can look that part. So that's why when I think about like 15th quarterback, it's the type of guy who can probably fluctuate. He can look like I guess like the toast of the town one week, and then the next week, he looked like, what the hell just happened? So that's what a 15 quarterback is to me. Derek hasn't even gotten a participation trophy. Yeah, he hasn't gotten anything, you know, but you got to earn it. You got to earn it. And I think, to me, Derek has got to – he got to do a lot in order for him to win back the favor of the New Orleans Saints. Like, I think you had Saints fans that were excited when he came, but the way that the Saints organization was basically kind of, I got to say it, people felt like they were coddling him, right? Even the locker room, like even the locker rooms, Zach Ewing wrote in his article, even the locker room had their problems and their issues with Derek Carr and how he was treated. And how when things were going awry, it seemed like they were trying to do everything to protect him. That's not a good thing. And then you combine the fact that a lot of, Saints fans, and I don't believe this, but you have some Saints fans out there that may feel like, man, I don't know, like he was taking a dive from time to time. And when you have all that going on and you have erratic quarterback play, like people ain't feeling it. Like people are not feeling that at all. And then you also have some Saints fans out there that feel like he basically jeopardized the Saints. Well, he didn't jeopardize. He squandered the Saints season because he didn't go sit his ass down somewhere and allow Jameis Winston to play or, let the Saints come up with a game plan outside of him. You can be the biggest Jameis Winston hater in the world. But the fact that he had all that stuff going on, you could have let Jameis play a couple of games. You could have let him play a couple of games, and that would have healed you up. Because in reality, you basically went out there and took unnecessary punishment, and you still started losing football games, especially at the beginning of the season. So those games, right after that Green Bay game where you struggled, I mean, you lost quite a few of those football games. When you started to heal up towards the end of the season, that's when y'all started to play a little bit better. You start to play a little bit better as a quarterback, but you basically went out there and took unnecessary punishment for absolutely no reason whatsoever. You didn't win the football game. You didn't look good. And also, I think that Saints fans would probably have a difference of opinion about Derek Carr if he did go sit down a few games. Because what he did was he gave the Who Dat Nation a mixed bag. And it's almost like, will the real Derek Carr please stand up here? Like, because, okay, towards the end of the season, your stat line was looking pretty good. We had like 14 touchdowns, 2 picks or something like that. But at the beginning of the season, erratic quarterback play. So to me, if he probably would have sit down, then you probably would have had more of a support system for him, because they would have been like, well, he was hurt and this happened, but you basically open yourself up to more scrutiny from the Who Dat Nation. So they don't know who you are as a quarterback. And everybody knows that people don't like to deal with uncertainties, right? So coming into the 2024 season, people don't know what type of quarterback they got. They think they have an idea, and the idea is not good. So to me, maybe he should have sit down somewhere, maybe chillaxed a little bit until he actually got himself right. And then all of a sudden, who knows? Maybe would have played a little bit better. Or better yet, maybe the Saints would have won a couple of games because Jameis had a week to practice. Maybe, maybe coming up with a game plan. But in the back of your mind, while you got Jameis out there with the starters going through the week, but in the back of your mind, you're like, Derek, you ready? Derek, you ready? Like, you basically squandered that particular week. So that's how I feel about it, man. I think he didn't do himself any favor. I respect the warrior mentality, but sometimes, you got to do what's best for the team. And sometimes what's best for the team is for you not to be out there. So I think in some of those games, it just made people, kind of sour on him. So he has to win a Who Dat Nation back. Don't forget to smash the like button, y'all. Mira, thank you very much. I appreciate that. They had Doug Williams ahead of Derek Carr. Hey, but Doug Williams a Super Bowl MVP. He's a Super Bowl MVP, man. So, if they did, that's justified. Doug Williams won a Super Bowl. So, Jameis couldn't win us a game where we were 17-0. That's a good point. That's a fair point. But at the same time, like, does Jameis play defense? So, it wasn't the Jameis out there playing cornerback or safety or, it wasn't him, getting torched by Romeo Dobbs. So I don't know, man. You can say that, but also at the same time, you got to think about the game plan too. Think about like the fact that when the Saints went up 17-0, go back and watch that game. They kind of took their foot off the pedal and they were starting to run a little bit. And when Derek left, it seemed like they were almost like in a fetal position in that game. Like, let's just hurry up and try to get up out of here. But you got to give credit to Jordan Love in that regards. He threw the ball down the field. But you can say that he couldn't, he couldn't hold a 17-0 lead. But you can also go back and say when the Saints played the Minnesota Vikings and Derek Carr left that game when he got knocked out. Well, Jameis came in the game and provided a spark. So, it's a little bit of both when it comes to that. But who knows? Like, it is hard. I don't think people understand this. This isn't like the movies. Like when Dennis Quaid, when they played on Any Given Sunday, when Dennis Quaid was the starting quarterback and then he got hurt, and then comes Jamie Foxx, whose character name was Willie Beeman. In comes Steaming Beeman, and the next thing you know, them boys flying. Like, this is not television. Like these guys have to prepare, and expecting a guy to come in cold as ice, in the middle of the game and then come back, and facilitate a comeback. I just feel like that's kind of wishful thinking at that time. But if you give them a week to be able to come up with an install and a game plan, who knows what would have happened? So I don't know, man. You can't say, oh, a guy isn't the answer because he came in with 2 quarters left in a game. Like, oh man, all you got to do is this. Like, it takes time in order for a game plan to be installed. So who knows? Like, if the Saints would have installed a game plan, and if Derek would have sat down for maybe 2 or 3 games, I don't know if the Saints would have won those football games, but I feel like they would have got a better chance with a 100% quarterback, a person that don't have any physical ailments that they're dealing with versus a guy who has a shoulder, a concussion, rib injury. Like, come on, man. Like, we got to give him that. I ain't saying a guy about to lead the Saints to the Super Bowl. I'm talking Jameis Winston, but I think Jameis could have won some football games. On top of all that, we had an offensive coordinator that copied and pasted from previous seasons. Yeah. I mean, you got to combine all these things. And that's one of the reasons why we got to kind of ease up a little bit on Derek. And I'm saying this because we were very upset and very frustrated at the coaching staff, and we wanted change. Now, I know we look at Derek Carr. He's a veteran. He should rise above the coaching. But I think we have an idea now what Derek Carr is. There are some quarterbacks that could win you football games in spite the coaching. Like, despite the coaching out there, like, they can win football games. Drew Brees is the type of guy like that. Tom Brady is a guy like that. Joe Burrow, in my opinion, is a guy like that. Derek Carr isn't that guy. And I think that the Saints are doing a really good job at understanding that because they're bringing in Clint Kubiak, and he's a coach that is going to put emphasis on the run. And if you have yourself a potent running game and you have a quarterback that can, get the ball down the field, get the ball into the hands of the playmakers. We talk about, some of the dinking and the dunking, but if you look at the way the wide zone is, it's a lot of, open spaces and getting the ball to your playmakers, short, quick passes, and allowing guys like Shaheed and guys like Olave to go out there and, get that yak. So this can actually work in his favor. And I'm interested to see how this is going to work because I think that the Saints need to put more emphasis on the running game. And, you alleviate some of the pressure off of Derek Carr where he doesn't have to go out there and just throw the ball 30, 35 times a game, if the Saints don't have to facilitate a comeback or, if it ain't late in the game, he don't have to throw that many times. So, I mean, this might be an offense that might fit him really, really well. But it's good to know that he's not that quarterback. It's good to know that. And I'm not saying that to disrespect him. I'm just saying it because the quicker you understand that, the quicker you can make these changes, if that makes any sense. Like trying to make somebody something that they're not, to me is a waste of time. You'll be wasting years and you'll be frustrating the fan base. He's not the type of quarterback that can put a team on his back on a consistent basis. Can Derek Carr in week 2 go out there and look like the best quarterback in the league? Yes, he can. He can play a game like that. But can he consistently be in a conversation? In my opinion, that has yet to be seen. That has yet to be seen. I mean, maybe that one year I want to say when he was up for league MVP, but that I'm talking consistently. When I say consistently, I'm talking about you've been in the league for X amount of years and your name constantly comes up among the best. Not your fan base who feels like all these different things have happened and that's the reason why you're not the best. Nobody cares. Like, I hate to say it, nobody cares. All the Jameis Winston supporters out there that were talking about Jameis and all he needs is this, that, nobody cares. All the Derek Carr supporters out there that's saying he needs this, that, and the third, nobody cares. What matters is wins and losses, for better or for worse. I don't make the rules. You don't make the rules, and you can't modify the rules. If you're not winning games consistently, nobody cares. Nobody cares if you stay up and put forward a PowerPoint presentation that will make one of the biggest CEOs in the country blush. Nobody cares. All that matters is wins and losses. And if you're not winning football games, guess what? The quarterback that is winning football games is going to jump above you. No matter if you have better skill set, better arm talent, like overall, all the intangibles, it does not matter. What matters is wins and losses. Can a team count on you consistently to deliver the goods? So, Don't even waste your time. Don't even waste your time trying to put together that Microsoft PowerPoint because nobody cares. It's about winning. If you're not winning, nobody cares. So all these folks up here on X trying to, well, man, the Saints offensive line was ranked. Who cares? Who cares? Dennis Allen knew he messed up when Pete kept doing the same plays everyone knew by heart. Well, look, Pete Carmichael is not, he's an offensive minded guy, but to me, he is not a consistent offensive play caller. Like, right, to me, like this, it's the same rules apply for Pete Carmichael when it comes, like, what the same rules apply when I'm talking about Derek Carr, it applies to Pete Carmichael. There we go. Pete Carmichael is the type of guy, if you say, all right, Pete, week 9, we want you to call the plays. Pete Carmichael in week 9 will probably call one of his best games. Why do you think Pete Carmichael, when Sean Payton went down, the Saints will put up like 400 and some odd yards during that stretch when he was calling plays? Why? It's because he knew all I got to do is this right here for this amount of time, and then after that, I'm good. And not to mention, you also had Sean Payton in the background saying, hey, I like this, I like that, I like this, I like that. I call it the Vince Russo complex. For those that don't follow wrestling, Vince Russo was a guy who was behind the scenes. He was one of the producers. He was the one that was writing the scripts that wrestlers follow or whatever, right? And when he was in WWF at the time in the 90s, he was writing all these different things, and people look at him as, one of the individuals that were very instrumental in the whole Attitude Era and Stone Cold Steve Austin and stuff, right? But another wrestling company, WCW, they looked at that and they said, man, we need to go ahead and grab him. And when they grabbed him, he ran them into the ground. Why is that? Why is a guy that was so good at one company is so bad at another? It's because he had Vince McMahon at the time that said, no, I don't think that's a good idea. Okay, we can go with that. Take this out, add this, yada, yada, yada. So that is what Pete Carmichael is. So Pete Carmichael, you're basically was asking him to call plays without a buffer. So if that's the case, then you're asking this guy to do something consistently that he did not do, even though he had that title for about 14, 15 seasons. So to me, I think that Pete Carmichael is probably hella happy where he is right now. Don't have really too much pressure on him, can be a part of a powwow group. What are we going to do this week? He's good. He don't need to be the main writer. He just needs to write a few jokes for Dave Chappelle, write a few jokes for Chris Rock on his miniseries, and make people laugh, right? Not to say that these guys get people to write the jokes, but y'all get my point. Like, you got a room full of writers, and you got the head writer that says, okay, we're going to green light this. And then you got the guys that are pitching ideas. That's Pete Carmichael. So as long as he's on the sidelines, oh, Sean, I think we did this. We did this in week 2 and it worked. Let's add this. That's a good idea, Pete. So I'm not mad at Pete Carmichael. I'm not, because here's the thing. We all knew that Pete Carmichael did not want to be the play caller. He did not want to call the plays. This isn't something that TJ is saying. This is something that has been reported by some of the most well-respected Saints reporters out there, from Underhill to my guy Ross Jackson. Everybody knows that he didn't want this. But the Saints basically, I won't say they begged him, but they kind of like, man, we really need you. We really need you. This man didn't want to do that. So to me, a part of me feel like it's the Saints' fault. Because to me, I don't feel like they would have done this if they weren't kind of afraid at what the team would look like post Sean Payton, post Drew Brees. Like, to me, they felt like, well, man, we hitting the ground running. All we got to do is we had some injuries. I think the Saints had a false sense of reality of what this team actually was. I think they looked at some of the injuries that were plaguing this team, in Sean's last season, and they were like, man, all we got to do is just basically keep steering this car. But they didn't realize, like, man, Sean Payton is not only the wheel man. I mean, he looking at the side view mirrors, the rear view mirrors. Like, man, he 10-2 in it. And if he don't 10-2 in this thing going off the road. Like, so I think they had a false sense of reality of what this team was. And that was the reason why they probably came out and tried to get Pete Carmichael as their offensive coordinator, because they wanted to be as close to normal as they can. But you can't be normal if you don't have the guy that made everything normal in Sean Payton. So I think that what the Saints are doing in 2024, basically, it was inevitable. It had to be done. It just took them a couple of years to realize that it had to be done. If the Saints, let me see, I guess you're saying if the Saints can play good together, that's what take them far. Good players and good play calling. Let's just pray Carr doesn't get hurt, because if not, the Dome will chant, put Rattler in. Yeah, of course. But I'm not checking for Spencer Rattler right now. I'm not. And everybody knows how I feel about Spencer Rattler. Y'all know. Y'all, for those that been here, y'all know how I feel about Spencer Rattler as a quarterback. I think that he has all the tools to be a really good quarterback, a really solid starting quarterback in the league. But I don't think that he's that right now. And I want Saints fans to understand that, it's good to be excited about Spencer Rattler. I am too. It's good to think about the possibilities and looking at the arm talent. Look, I'm all for that. But my feelings and my views and my thoughts of Spencer Rattler and where he can take the New Orleans Saints are like a couple years down the line. Like, I would be shocked. Like, I'm going to be honest with you. I would be shocked if something was to happen to Derek Carr and Spencer Rattler comes in and he just plays lights out, like right away. It would shock me, because I still feel like there are a few things that he needs to work on to get him to that point. Like, he has all the tools and talent that is necessary to play the quarterback position. But I do feel like there are some things that he needs to work on. And I don't want him to I don't want him to come in thinking that he has to be the savior of the franchise. Because if something was to happen to Derek and you thrust him in, and he plays well, my goodness, like he is going to be that guy. So to me, it's kind of funny because Derek Carr, who basically in a lot of Saints fans' eyes was the second favorite quarterback among Saints fans. Like, the majority of Saints fans really like Jameis. It was because most Saints fans, I won't say most, but you had a nice percentage of Saints fans that felt like Jameis Winston got the short end of the stick in 2022. And going into 2023, like, people were sympathizing with Jameis. So because of that, they had his, he had their support. And when Derek started making mistakes and, started having injuries and stuff like that, he kind of looked like the bad guy, right? It's almost like, the guy that they're trying to push down our throats, but we want to see what this guy can do. So this is another situation for Derek Carr. And honestly, it's even worse now because you don't have a guy that's coming in who has had some starts in the league, who has had some ups and downs, and you had some Saints fans that can be like, yeah, you know what, man, he ain't no star in the league, man. He did this with this team. You don't have that. You have a shiny new toy. It's the Buzz Lightyear complex, as I said on the last show with Ross Jackson. It's like when Andy got Buzz Lightyear, he became his new favorite toy. He had all the bells and whistles, and Woody just had the pull string. So, it's going from Jameis Winston to Spencer Rattler. So the pressure is indeed on Derek Carr, no doubt about it. Let's see. Every fan needs hope, especially if it's a potential franchise savior. But being a Saints fan has been rough with so many hard breaks over the years. The NFL guys owe us our reparations. Rattlesnake quarterback one. Well, look, I do agree, but I tell people this all the time. Like, if you think you suffering, man, go back to the 90s when them boys really stunk. Like, when they were really terrible. Like, when you, like, being a Saints fan was an acquired taste during that time. Like I could deal with the fact that the Saints losing and being in a game. Like it frustrates me. Don't get me wrong, but I'm talking about you knew the Saints were gonna get the door blew off them like when they hit the field. But I can understand how you feel, like a bunch of close calls, the screw job in 2018. We want something different. We want change. We want something that we can actually hold on to. We want some hope. And Spencer Rattler looks like he's that hope. But I don't think that hope is, I don't think that is this year. Like I'm talking maybe 2025. Like, let's just say if the Saints struggling and they decide they want to spark and they go ahead and put in Rattler and he goes out there, maybe he'll have learned something in that year and some change. But I don't know, man. I'll be shocked if he comes in, like if Derek goes down, he comes in, he just plays so well to a point where it's just like, sorry, Derek, we love you, man, but this guy is playing on another level. That would be shocking. Like, I think he has all the tools. And if he was to come in, like I say, late 2025, the start of the 2026 season, and he played well, that wouldn't surprise me at all. Because he would be doing what I know that he's capable of doing. But if he does it right away, I ain't gonna lie to you, that'll be a shock to me. If Carr goes down, Peterman will be due to experience. And the sad part about it is I don't know that guy. Well, I'll tell you what, Nathan Peterman, if Nathan Peterman coming into the game, no disrespect to the guy, but I only can go by what was on the field. There have been very few highlights and a plethora of lowlights. So you have to believe that the morale is extremely low. But to me, I think the Saints did everything that they possibly can to make Derek Carr feel comfortable. But I got to give them credit with this. I have got to give them credit with this. They seen an opportunity that they couldn't pass up in Spencer Rattler. And if they hit on Spencer Rattler, they're going to look like geniuses. And I think that they tried to create this quarterback room to make it more Derek Carr friendly. That's why you go out there and get, people consider underachieving Nathan Peterman, a no-name quarterback and Kellen Mond among NFL, prognosticators and fans, some people know Kellen Mond from Texas A&M, but do you really know him? Even though he got cut. Then you got Jake Hayner, who, some people, think he, can be a solid backup quarterback. But, so it was really Derek Carr friendly. So they tried. But you have an opportunity to get somebody with the upside like Spencer Rattler. Like, you can't pass that up. But they tried. They they tried. But, hey, I ain't mad at them, though. TJ, that ain't hard to do with Derek Carr. Nathan Peterman, 2 touchdowns and 14 interceptions. Wow. Man, watch Jim Everett quarterback. Well, Jim Everett, even Jim Everett for the Rams did all right, Nathan Peterman, I don't think he's ever done anything. Nathan Peterman, to me, probably just one of those guys that, to me, probably, like, it wouldn't surprise me if Nathan Peterman a couple years from now is a head coach somewhere, because there's a reason why he still lands on people's depth chart. Everybody can't be a starting quarterback. Everybody can't be a quarterback. But I think that everybody that I talk to about Nathan Peterman, ones that have been around him, they say that he's extremely intelligent. He's extremely smart. He understands the playbook, and he does a really good job at helping quarterbacks be able to see certain things in real time. Now, I don't know why that doesn't apply to him sometimes on the field, but it wouldn't surprise me if years down the line, Nathan Peterman is a head coach. Most head coaches, if you think about it, they were backup quarterbacks, ones that are successful. Like we got Doug Peterson, he's had success, a Super Bowl winning coach. You think about Jason Garrett. Even though Jason Garrett doesn't have a job, he still was a head coach, and he went to the playoff a couple times with the Cowboys. He was a backup quarterback to Troy Aikman. I mean, you got some backup quarterbacks that have been in the league. Kevin McConnell, head coach for the Minnesota Vikings. So sometimes, like, the fact that they got all those mental reps, it pays dividends for them in their coaching life. So Nathan Peterman might be the next head coach of somebody's team and might find success. Damn right. I'm going to get his jersey to bring that young man some good luck. He doesn't want to ride the bench. Well, I mean, he may not want to ride the bench, but the bench he will sit. I'm excited for 2026. Let Snake sit for a year or two and build up the trenches on both sides. And another threat at wide receiver and tight end. Hopefully, DA gone and the future can be excited. A new era arises like love. Yeah, I mean, sometimes that quarterbacks need to sit down. You know, like once upon a time, I know some of you younger fans out there, you're only used to like quarterbacks who get drafted, first pick overall, top 5, getting thrust into the lineup. But once upon a time, that wasn't the case. It used to be like a team would draft a quarterback, and that quarterback could sit like 2 or 3 years before he hits the field. Now it's like, and I feel bad for these quarterbacks. They can't afford to struggle. They can't afford to go through the motions because of between social media and a rabid fan base is not going to let them. So I don't have an issue with a quarterback sitting. I don't think it's an indictment on that quarterback because sometimes sitting down and not having the pressure of being that savior, not having the pressure of winning games, you can actually take those mental reps. You can actually learn how to be a student of the game, be able to allow the game to come to you. That could actually be beneficial to a quarterback. You know, we see outliers like CJ Stroud and Cam Newton, how he was back in the day, even Matt Ryan to a certain extent. Like we see these guys come in and find success, and all of a sudden, like we just think that that's the norm. But I don't know if anybody remember, but Peyton Manning looked like slaw his first season. He had 20 plus interceptions. Like some of these quarterbacks that we look at and that are so well respected, man, touchdown interception ratio back in the day, they look terrible. Rookie quarterbacks used to come in, it used to be baptism through fire. So I'm not mad at that. You know, like it may seem like a new approach to some of you, but that's an old approach. And sometimes it pays dividends for those quarterbacks. We're seeing it with Jordan Love. You know, and I think honestly, and I hope not, but I think it's going to work with Michael Penix in Atlanta too. I don't have an issue with quarterback sitting. I think that that's a lost art, and I think it has a lot to do with the fact that, you know, to me, it's about winning, but it's also about, you know, getting asses in seats too. You know, so nobody wants to see Caleb Williams wait to be the starting quarterback of the Bears. They ain't trying to suffer through Tyson Bagent, you know, like playing quarterback for 3 weeks or 4 weeks or a season. They want to see him now. You know, like that's just the way that it goes. I think the quarterback is open because this is a new playbook system, so no one has a for sure job. And for some of them might struggle. It's who catches on the fastest. This is Derek Carr's job. This is Derek Carr's job. This is DeMario Davis' job. This is Cam Jordan's job. This is Alvin Kamara's job. Like it's guys that have been here. They're the starters, right? You hope that these guys catch on. Newsflash, who that nation? The Saints are committed to Derek Carr. So the only thing that I would suggest to you is to support this guy. Support him. Support him. Hope that, you know, like you may have your reservations about him, but this is the guy that they're going to run with. Like if last year didn't show you that they are willing to do anything for this guy, like no matter the situation, like this man was basically getting raked off the field with a spatula and he still was out there the next week. So to me, like you got to hope that this guy pans out. And I look, Derek Carr is not the worst quarterback in the world. I say that. Like he is not the worst quarterback in the world. And honestly, based on like how you're structured, you can win football games with them. You can go to the playoffs with them. You may not want to hear that, but it's true. We see quarterbacks that don't have nearly the talent as this guy, and their teams find a way to get to the playoffs. Now, I know what some of you are saying right now. Why you scowling at me? Well, they got much better coaching than what the Saints have. Hey, I can see to that. But all I'm saying is based on the talent that the Saints have, if they can get things together, if they can, catch lightning in a bottle, if they can fall ass backwards into prosperity, they can make the playoffs. Like they got the team to do it. They're a talented football team. Can they do it? I don't know. But I've seen quarterbacks with less talent, less ability get hot. Like, I don't think that Nick Foles is a better quarterback than Derek Carr. I don't. But Nick Foles found himself in the Super Bowl playing very, very well. So I don't know. Like, I just think that it matters what the coaches are asking you to do, and what are you accompanied by? Is it a potent running game? Is it lights out defense? Is it a secondary that gets you the ball back, gives you more opportunities? I mean, it can't just be great quarterback play. Like, if that, like, it can be. Like, even with Drew Brees, as great as he was, like, Drew Brees put up astronomical numbers, like insane numbers, but the Saints still were missing a playoff because they didn't have a defense. So it can't just be about stellar quarterback play. Like, just even if, like, let's just say Spencer Rattler comes in, he plays stellar. I mean, you still need a supporting cast around him. You still need the defense to play well. You still need the offensive line to block for him. You still need the running backs to run in between the tackles, get those big games. It might be a game where Spencer Rattler may not play his best, and you need that running game. You might not be able to win it with his arm. You might have to win it by running the football, by getting turnovers. Like, you might need a pick six, might need special teams. So this to me is a group effort. But we all know, if you ever played organized sports, like, you have to believe in the man that you're standing next to, the man that you're taking a field with, the man that you're taking a court with. You got to believe him. You got to believe that you're going to win. You got to believe that that guy or that lady or that woman is going to be able to help you out. If not, then you already lost. Like, you lost before the whistle blew. If I'm standing next, if Derek is standing next to me and he unsure about me, we lost. We already lost. Like, because there's two battles that's going to go on. It's the battle of uncertainty about me, and there's the battle of, can we win this game? So it's a lot of nuances that go into winning football games, folks. It's not just about, he's just throwing the ball down the field for 60 yards and opening up the playbook. TJ, if we were 2-6 or 3-5, something like that midway through the season, will upper management pull a plug on DA? I do not believe that. I don't. The Saints are the type of organization, for better or for worse, they're extremely loyal, and they will allow a coach to figure it out, for better or for worse. And I don't have a problem with that. I don't. I would not have a problem with that. And the reason why is, by allowing them to go out here and fumble all over themselves, if they do, you have basically conceded that this guy isn't the answer. You have exhausted every particular instance, every particular scenario to help this coach or this player reach his full potential, and they didn't do it. You may not want to see it. It may get on your nerves. You may not even want to watch the games. But guess what? I will respect it, because you can't go out here chewing gum at the end of the season, Mr. Mickey Loomis, and telling everybody that you still believe in Dennis Allen, because you're going to be the only person in the world that does. So to me, let them do it. Like, you look, like I said, this isn't a movie that we're talking about. Think about this, folks. Can you think of a situation? Think about this. Have you ever thought or seen a situation where a coach was fired midway through the season and the interim coach comes in and they just go to the playoffs and win the Super Bowl? I ain't never seen it. I've never seen it. I have never seen that before in my life. I ain't never seen it. Maybe there's an instance in history that happened, but I ain't never seen that happen. So to think that, oh man, this guy gets fired and let's just make Clint Kubiak the head coach midway through the season. Guess what, man? Those guys in that locker room, unless you got some guys that's built with the right stuff, like even at their best, they still feel like this guy isn't our coach. Like he's just basically a seat filler. So you got that on your mind. And then you got to go out here and win football games. I don't know. I ain't never seen it. So to say that this guy, he's going to get fired if the Saints are 3-5 and Clint Kubiak comes in and now the Saints are going to turn into the greatest show on turf for the 99 Minnesota Vikings, like I don't see it. So I say let him go ahead and coach out the rest of the season. Let him go ahead look terrible. Let him go ahead look like slaw, unless a Brandon Staley situation happens. Where if you play on a Thursday or a Sunday night and the entire world is watching and it's just painstakingly obvious that this team has phoned it in. Like they just out there just sleepwalking. Then you got to go ahead and fire him. But even if they do fire him midway through the season, I don't see the Saints like making the playoffs. I don't see them making a Super Bowl. I just never seen it done. I've never seen a head coach get fired and an interim coach comes in, they make the playoffs, go to Super Bowl. I ain't never seen it. So this might be one of those seasons if Dennis Allen don't pan out, it's just going to be a rough season. But at this particular point, who has high expectations for the Saints? And I'm just being honest. Like, who has high expectations for the Saints? Like, this is a St. Louis year for the Saints. This is a show me year, for fans. The St. Louis mentality is going on in New Orleans. Show me. If you want me to cheer, show me. I said when I talked to Ross Jackson on the last episode of State of the Saints, and I encourage you all to check that out, the interview, and shouts out to my guy Ross. But I said it. I mean, week one, Saints fans are ready to go up in there and boo. Like, the first line of trouble. Like, man, get this bum out of here as a head coach. Get that bum out of here as a quarterback. I'm not calling these guys bums, but I'm just saying that's how Saints fans are going to feel. So people ready to boo. Like, people already got a trigger like a hairpin ready to boo. They got a boo trigger pin. You know what I'm saying? Like they ready. You know what I'm saying? They warming up the vocal cords. They drinking lemon water. They ready. You know what I'm saying? Like how my mama, you know what I'm saying, used to prepare. Like my mama can sing, by the way. Mama get when she knows she got to sing on Sunday, get them peppermints. You know what I'm saying? Get that lemon juice. She ready. Like Saints fans like me, ready to boo. me, boo, boo, boo. Hold on, I gotta make sure I get it right. Boo, 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 boo. They ready to boo that boy. Ready to boo this boy out the building. I'm telling you, boy, they ready. They are ready to boo this boy. I'm telling you, they getting ready to boo these boys out of the building in the first line of trouble. So to me, they got to hit the ground running. But like I said, this is a brand new season. This is a brand new year. So every team is 0-0. And this is the opportunity. It's a new season. You got new coaches. You got the team looking like the way that you want Dennis Allen. So there are no more excuses. If you don't get it done, guess what? Fired. I mean, it's crazy because, in my opinion, we have a Super Bowl caliber team with a soft, no accountable coach. I don't think the Saints are a Super Bowl team. I don't think they're a Super Bowl team. Defensively, they are. Like, they got a Super Bowl type defense. But as an overall team, nah. Like, win a playoff game, yeah. Deep playoff run, nah. And the only reason I'm saying they're a playoff team because look at the NFC. Like, who's the world beater in the NFC? The 49ers? But catch Brock Purdy on a bad day. Like, you can beat them. Like the Detroit Lions. Like, yeah, they look good and they was slapping the Saints around in the Superdome early in that game. But I think, honestly, if they would have came out 14-0 versus 21, who knows? The Saints probably would have ended up trying to win that football game. There are no world beaters in the NFC. I don't care who it is. The Saints can beat any team in the NFC. Just like any team in the NFC can beat the Saints. No matter how garbage they are. No matter how much of an underachiever. I won't call them garbage. How much they underachieve. There we go. You can beat the New Orleans Saints and the Saints can beat that team. So with that being said, yeah, they can win a playoff game, but a Super Bowl, I don't know. Like I'm not saying like that. You're entitled to your opinion, but as for me, I think the Saints got a lot of work to do if they're gonna get to the Super Bowl. They got a lot of work to do. They're gonna need some things to bounce their way, and also get out of their own way. And what I've seen over the last 3 seasons, you can even add the one with Sean Payton. They just can't get out their own way. And as long as you're standing in your own way, you're not going to reach that full potential. But I just think that maybe the approach that they took, that they're taking this season, I think it can help them get back to where they are. They're not making any real extravagant expenses. They're not trying to overexert themselves. Seem like they're trying to get themselves back to the middle and maybe try to make a run at it. And that is why I mentioned on a few shows back about Spencer Rattler. You may not be a big Spencer Rattler fan. You got some Saints fans out there that just feel like it's a waste of time and he's a 5th-round pick. But I'm just saying, if you're drafted, that's a 4-year deal. That's a 4-year deal, folks. So that's a 4-year deal of this guy making minimal money. So if you learn Derek Carr isn't the answer, you give Spencer Rattler opportunity, and he's looking about as solid as a B+, right? You can build something around that. And you got a couple of years to do so. Because you have about 2-3 seasons maybe to actually commit to this guy. And I use the examples of Jalen Hurts, and I use the example of Brock Purdy. These teams can go out here and make trades for Christian McCaffrey. They could go out here and get CeeDee Deuce. They could go out here and add different guys to the team off the street in order to make their team better because they have the money to do it. Because Jalen Hurts making minimal. Brock Purdy making minimal. So as long as these quarterbacks are making minimal, because we know that the quarterback dominates the cap. So if you have a quarterback that you get in the 3rd round or the 4th round and he's performing at a high level, guess what? If you have a competent front office, you're going to find success. I mean, go back to Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson and the Seattle Seahawks. That's how they were able to get good. So to me, like I would hope that Saints fans understand that if Spencer Rattler is anything like most of us feel like he is, this will be beneficial. Like the Saints can actually go back to being dominant, the way that they were throughout the past decade. Like they can be that. So when people say, man, he ain't going to be nothing, be careful at what you're saying. You might want this guy to be something. Because that is how the Saints are going to get out of this hole that they're in. I don't want the loser mentality stench of DA and Carr to touch my future quarterback one. That's the downside at the moment. But hopefully a leader of men comes and changes the fortune. That stench will need deodorant. Yeah. I mean, look, I think that the fact that they have Kubiak, and I think the approach that the Saints are going to take, no cap, is almost like the Greg Williams, Sean Payton thing, right? Now, that came back and bit the Saints in the behind because of the whole Bounty Gate scandal. But if you look back, Sean was like, okay, Greg, you handle the defense, I'm going to handle the offense. And it seems like that's the approach that Dennis Allen is going to go into 2024 with. If he does, that might be something that's extremely beneficial to not only the offense, but guys like Spencer Rattler as well. And I cannot put enough stock in the hiring of Andrew Janoko, who is the quarterback's coach. He is a guy who is very talented and very knowledgeable. So they got some good coaches that can actually mold him, but the question is, like, will Dennis Allen be a part of that process, after this season? We'll see. But, they making some good decisions. Well, on paper, they look like good decisions. So I don't look going into the last couple of years, going into the off seasons, like the moves that the Saints have made at the beginning, we were all in on. But then, like, as the season, like, revealed itself, we like, dang, man, like, how did they screw this up? So they make good decisions. It's a matter of taking those decisions, putting it on the field, and then, allowing, those decisions to pay dividends. That hasn't happened that consistently. The Saints got to whoop the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The other teams in NFC South, Falcons and the Panthers, don't have any Lombardi trophies. Well, look, I don't care anything about other teams having Lombardi trophy, Jules. I understand what you're saying, but look, I just you got to be able to beat the teams in your division, because you're playing them twice, so you got to be able to win. And if you can actually sweep maybe one or two of those teams, that's 4 wins right there. And if you can actually, muster up a few more wins, then you can find yourself being in the playoffs and winning the division. I'm going to take a few more, and then we're going to go ahead and get up out of here. Please hit the like button if you're in here right now. Please hit the like button. Says Kubiak knew exactly what he was doing, getting Rattler. He knows if DA messes up, he's already having a job open and possibly his quarterback of the future in the building. Well, Dana, look, I like the hiring of Clint Kubiak, but I'm not trying to appoint him as the head coach. I'm not. I am not. Like, this is the reason why we got into the situation that we're in right now. The fact that you felt like the guy that was over here would be a really good head coach. Maybe Clint Kubiak may be the answer. But, Dana, before you decide to make that answer official, guess what? You go out here and you do exactly what you did when it came to the offensive coordinator position. You go out here and you interview people almost to a point where people feel like nobody wants to come here. And that way, for a fact that you got the guy you wanted. Clint Kubiak may be the answer, but do not make it a definitive answer. There are coaches out here that are superstars or become superstars every single day. And the only thing that they need is an opportunity. We did not know Sean Payton would be capable of making the Saints look like a legit franchise. He was the offensive coordinator for the Cowboys and the Giants. A Bill Parcells disciple. But the Saints gave him an opportunity, and now he is considered the greatest coach in New Orleans Saints history. Sean McVay, a young kid, they took a chance on him. A young guy, who is like 32, 33 years old. That's unprecedented to give a young guy that young a head coaching opportunity. And now he's looked at as a wonder kid. And not only that, but now you got a bunch of a bunch of Sean McVay disciples. Everybody looking for the next Sean McVay. Everybody looking for the next young, innovative coach, right? Full of energy that can match the energy of the players. So none of these things would happen if they didn't give those guys opportunities. So it might be Clint Kubiak, but it might be that coach that's at Oregon. It might be that offensive coordinator at Florida. I'm not saying that in particular. These are not guys that I'm just saying it at random. But there are superstars that are made every single day. But it's all due to them getting the opportunity to be able to show what they have. And some of them hit it out the park. And some of them, you like wondering to yourself, what the hell were they thinking? Kubiak is just a guy under Shanahan. Y'all need to chill. Well, look, I don't know if he's just a guy under Shanahan or if, technically, yeah, he is a guy that was under Shanahan. But I don't know if maybe he learned something that can actually help the New Orleans Saints. I don't know. I don't know if he's going to be the greatest offensive coordinator ever. That remains to be seen. But I'm willing to give him a chance. And I like the fact that the Saints are willing to take a chance, to do something that is different from years past, doing the norm. So I can respect that. But let's see. Let's see where he goes. Kellen Moore coaching too. Exactly. Kellen Moore, backup quarterback, was a really good quarterback at Boise State. Really good. I mean, and look at him now. Like, he gets offensive coordinator jobs, possible head coach in the future. Saints fans' expectation, we got quarterback coach from the 49ers. In their mind, he is Kyle Shanahan. He might be, he might not be. Yeah, I mean, but that goes with anything. I mean, when the Saints hired Sean Payton, they probably thought, man, we getting another Bill Parcells. When, when they hired John Gruden as a head coach for the Raiders, they probably thought they was getting Holmgren. When Holmgren, was, a head coach, they probably thought they was getting Bill Walsh. So I mean, that just goes to show you, like, it depends on your coaching tree. Like if they feel like you are around this person and you learn from that person, if your name is attached to them, like, people gonna automatically give you opportunities. Kyle Shanahan, even though when he gets to big games, it seems like he kind of chokes a little bit, but he's a really good offensive-minded coach. And people want some of that. People want success. People, like, that's the reason why teams go out here and they'll spend money on mediocre guys who win Super Bowls. Y'all remember when Alvin Harper, who was the wide receiver for the Cowboys, ended up getting that big contract with the Bucks? Y'all remember when Larry Brown, who caught like 2 interceptions in the Super Bowl against the Pittsburgh Steelers in the early 90s? Some of y'all probably don't remember, but some of my older people do. Larry Brown got broke off by the Raiders and couldn't cover with a bed sheet. Why did they go out here and spend that type of money? It's because they want that success. Those teams want a piece of that success. Malcolm Smith, right, for the Seattle Seahawks, Super Bowl MVP, right? He got paid, I want to say, by the Raiders. I mean, I think that dude was out of the league in 2 years. So when your name is attached to success, or a coach that has had success, teams are going to want that. So when you say Clint Kubiak, he learned under Kyle Shanahan, let me get that. When you hear like, McDaniel for Miami Dolphins, he learned under Sean McVay. Man, let me get that. He learned under Kyle Shanahan. Let me get that. Sean McVay learned under Kyle Shanahan. Let me get some of that. I want that too. And Kevin McConnell. And look at these guys. Kevin Stefanski. Look at all these dudes out here, man. When your name is attached to a successful coach or a successful team, franchises want you. So I don't know if he's going I don't think he's going to be Kyle Shanahan. Like, we can't take that. We cannot fall for that banana in the tailpipe anymore. Just like Pete Carmichael wasn't Sean Payton when it came to the play calling. I mean, it's sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Holmgren has 5-6 assistants that became head coaches. Parcells had Belichick, Walsh had Holmgren. Yep, Holmgren, and I know everybody remember that coaching staff, man. I mean, Holmgren had what? Tony Dungy, had John Gruden. I mean, he had some of the best of the best, the creme de la creme, like the coaches that we all have grown to love and respect. I mean, that's just the way that go. Bill Cowher. I mean, Mike Tomlin learned under Bill Cowher, but he also learned under Davis Green, right? I mean, you think about some of these guys. The reason why they get these opportunities because of who their name is attached to. So, I mean, hopefully it works out. When Randy Moss went to the Raiders. Yeah, I mean, but look, Randy Moss was still talented for the Raiders. The Raiders were just not very good. So when that happens, like, people just think that the guy just fell off the face of the earth. But as we learn, Randy Moss was still a beast because when he left, he went to New England and Y'all seen what he did there. He still holds the NFL record for most touchdowns in a season by a wide receiver, breaking Jerry Rice's record, 23 touchdowns in one season. So, sometimes it depends on the circumstance. That goes back to what I'm saying. Sometimes you just can't look at a guy and say, yeah, you know what? Because he can join with this guy, but it was mostly this guy, not him. But give this guy the opportunity, he knocks it out of the park. That talent may be there. I know this is off subject, but am I tripping that I would like a first or a second for Lattimore? I've been hearing people saying a 5th round pick. Well, look, if you're trying to get a 5th round pick for Lattimore, keep Lattimore on your team. I'm not advocating for Marshon Lattimore to be traded at all. To me, and this may sound controversial to some, but I do not care. If the Saints were to trade Marshon Lattimore, you're basically trading a guy who has shown you that he is all that you need him to be for a coach that hasn't shown you anything. There's a possibility that Dennis Allen may not even be here next season. And one of the main reasons why I feel like the Saints would shop around Marshon Lattimore in the first place is because of the friction between he and Dennis Allen. So if you trade Marshon Lattimore and Lattimore goes to a team and the next thing you know, you're watching on television and Marshon Lattimore has the final pass deflection in a Super Bowl to help his team win. At the end of the season, and then all of a sudden at the end of the same season, you firing Dennis Allen. Guess what? You lost. So the Saints better be very, very careful. It better not be because we want to make Dennis feel comfortable. We want Dennis to feel like this is his locker room. Because to me, with all due respect, that would be one of the dumbest decisions in Saints history. Now, if this is one of those situations where you had a coach that won consistently and they're on an uptick and you see that they're on an uptick and let's just say you have some friction, some problems, maybe you can consider that because that coach is going to be there for years to come. But Marshon Lattimore has been steady at his position much longer and much better than Dennis Allen has been with his. And the only reason why we're having this conversation in the first place, the only reason why we're talking about Marshon Lattimore getting traded is because of the friction that has been reported between him and Dennis Allen. So why in the world would you jeopardize the future of your secondary? Even though you got some talented guys out there, they not Lattimore. Why would you do that? Why would you do that for a coach that may not even be here next season? Like that's insane. That is freaking insane. And too much of this, in my opinion, is looking like it's going on. You want to make sure that your superstars and your stars are comfortable, but it shouldn't be at the expense of guys that have talent and have ability and that can actually be the future of your franchise or help be the cornerstones of your franchise. They shouldn't be removed because you're trying to make somebody feel comfortable. So I don't know. Why are we even having this conversation? People say, oh, man, Marshon Lattimore missed some games for the last 2 seasons. I want to say Matt Moscona. Shouts out to Matt. Matt reported this, and I seen this on After Further Review. Marshon Lattimore only played a full season one time in his entire career. But we seem to be okay with that all these years, right? All these years. Oh, Marshon Lattimore, I ain't hear nobody, man, Marshon Lattimore, he always hurt. I ain't start hearing that until the Saints got Alontae Taylor and Paulson Adebo showed you that he was worth the price of admission. Now, all of a sudden, we got a problem with Marshon Lattimore. But when Marshon Lattimore was playing, and like I said, he did not play a full season for the exception of one time his entire career, nobody had no problem with that. Now, all of a sudden, a pass deflection by Paulson Adebo, or he catch a one-hand snag, or Alontae Taylor, show a little swag in the slot on the outside. And all of a sudden, like, we don't need Lattimore no more. Not fair. And I ain't about to let y'all boys do that to my guy. The fact is, Marshon Lattimore is the greatest cornerback in New Orleans Saints history. I don't care who you try to put up. He is the greatest cornerback in New Orleans Saints history. And the fact that people are trying to throw this dude away because you got some Buzz Lightyears and Paulson Adebo and Alontae Taylor and now most recently Kool-Aid McKinstry is a slap in the face. Is a slap in the face. I will not allow them to disrespect my guy Marshon like that. I will not allow them to disrespect Laddie Daddy because this secondary was slow. Them boys couldn't cover with a bed sheet. Smoked like brisket, burnt like a freaking biscuit. Straight up until 2017, where this guy was out here locking up some of the best and still do it to this day. Like Deontay Wilder say, to this day, this man's still doing it. Now all of a sudden, the last 2 years, we got Paulson Adebo now. We don't need Laddie Daddy no more. I tell you, man, like some of these fans out here fickle as I don't know what. Was hoping and praying, saying 3 Hail Marys that Marshon Lattimore, who twisted his ankle last week, can play this week. Now all of a sudden, Paulson Adebo pass deflection. And I like Paulson. I'm not trying to criticize him. I'm glad that he's reaching his full potential. But the reality is, Marshon Lattimore was the easy E of this NWA group that is the Saints secondary. Put some respect on this man's name. We wouldn't even be talking about trading. We wouldn't even be having this conversation. But all of a sudden, like I said, we got a couple pass deflections now, a couple, guys that can get their hands on a football in the secondary. Now all of a sudden, this man, what is just fodder? Like, man, miss me with that. I ain't about to let y'all disrespect Marshon Lattimore like that. I am not. Come on, man. Are you, if he can't stay healthy, then what else? He never played a full season. That's the whole point. Like, that's to me, that's hypocrisy. Yes, I said it. That's hypocrisy. Miss me with that stuff. I can go back. I've been doing the State of Saints podcast since 2018. So that was right after Marshon Lattimore's rookie season. I ain't heard not one time Marshon Lattimore missing all these games. The Saints may need to move on from Marshon Lattimore. It wasn't until the Saints started to get some secondary players that can actually cover somebody. Now all of a sudden, like, we looking at Marshon Lattimore sideways. Where was this energy before these guys got here? Like, don't make this an argument now because, like I said, he only played a full season once in his entire career. So where's the outrage? Where's the plethora of comments saying we need to trade Marshon Lattimore because he always hurt? Now all of a sudden, we got Kool-Aid McKinstry, who we're very high on. We got Paulson Adebo, who played lights out. We got Alontae Taylor, seeing like he learned in the slot and also can play on the outside. Now all of a sudden, we looking at Marshon Lattimore sideways. Now all of a sudden, like, he's not good enough. Now all of a sudden, like, we looking at him as trade bait. Why? So all I'm saying is, man, this reeks of hypocrisy. I'm not about to let y'all do this man like that. That, to me, what you all are doing is equivalent to a person who is dating somebody, right? And this person, like, is a good person, you know what I'm saying? Nice, friendly. And then all of a sudden, in comes this new woman or this new guy, smelling good, looking good. All of a sudden, you forgetting about this person right here that been holding you down, right? Helping you, been right there for you. Now all of a sudden, this person over here, like, starting to catch your eye, and you just forget about that next person. Forget about the times where this person pick you up, encourage you. Like, miss me with that, man. I ain't about to let y'all do Laddie Daddy like that, man. I'm just not. I'm not about to let y'all do this. I mean, I'm talking about a Zulu trucks parade full of Saints fans when I open up this phone line. Man, we can't stop nobody, TJ. Man, we need secondary every year. What the Saints need to draft? Man, they need a cornerback. What they need to draft? Man, we need a cornerback. Man, we get a cornerback, we good. Now all of a sudden, Oh, we get some consistency. Oh, boy, we get him. Man, you know what? Man, Lattimore, you sure been missing some games over the last 2 years. Man, I ain't about to let y'all do my boy like that. I'm not. Put some respect on that man's name. TJ, is this your new channel? If you talking about Gumbo Pod, man, Gumbo Pod Sports podcast, yeah, that's been my channel for a while. I use that channel as an alternate channel when I'm talking about other teams and stuff like that, man. I talk about like NFL and other sports as well, man. So I use that channel as an alternate, but there's some people out there that subscribe to that channel. So when I go live here on the State of the Saints, I just go live on Gumbo Pod as well. I was going to separate the channels, but people said they have been subscribed to that channel, so I just try to go live on both. But the Gumbo Pod Sports podcast is me talking about other sports, or when I interview other people. When I'm talking about just a variety of things going on in the NFL, I use that page. But yeah, I mean, I'm not about to allow y'all to talk about my boy Marshon Lattimore like that. Put some respect on that man's name. Lockdown corners don't come a dime a dozen. It doesn't. They don't. They don't come a dime a dozen. But like I said, man, I got so much respect for this guy. Because I just can't do it, man. I can't. Look, I get that players get older and you got to make those tough decisions to move on from them. But I feel like you can't just discard the dude and all that kind of stuff. I feel like most people are having an issue with Marshon Lattimore now is because they seen what Paulson Adebo can do, Alante Taylor can do, and now the Saints drafted Kool-Aid McKinstry. Now all of a sudden you have a problem with him. If you would have been saying this years before, like I said, he only played a full season once. So if you was having this issue and you said, TJ, I think we need to move on from Marshon Lattimore, then I feel like you have some room to talk. But we're having this conversation because the Saints got some new toys and some guys that actually showed you they can cover. And all of a sudden, like, you want to just throw this guy away and talk about what the Saints can actually trade for him. And honestly, like I said, I feel like the Saints are actually doing this right now. It's not so much about they feel like, oh, if we trade him, we can get better. They're doing this because they feel like they're trying to accommodate and trying to make Dennis Allen look comfortable and make him feel like he has control of the locker room. Because we all heard about the stories about some of these guys who, been winning and been to the playoffs, and now they're dealing with the Dennis Allen era and not having as much success. These guys are frustrated. So what are you going to do? Try to remove these guys from the locker room? So I guess the young guys who haven't made the playoffs yet, haven't had success yet, can actually buy into his buy into his system, buy into what he's selling. I don't know. But yeah, from the business aspect, what would you do, TJ? I'm not trading Marshon Lattimore. I'm not trading Marshon Lattimore. I am not. Because I don't feel like you need to. The NFL is a passing-driven league. And we all know wide receivers, running backs, and cornerbacks are probably like some of the top positions the more susceptible of getting hurt. Guy roll over your ankle, you're going up for a catch and try to deflect the ball coming down on your ankle. Like, you can say, okay, let's get rid of Lattimore. Let's trade him. Let's trade him. Let's get a second round pick for him, right? Who's to say, and I'm knocking on wood when I say this, who's to say Paulson Adebo going to stay healthy for the full season? Who's to say Alante Taylor is going to stay healthy for the full season? Or Kool-Aid? There was a time where Paulson and Marshon was down. So you can't, you got to have as many playmaking, opportunistic type cornerbacks out there that take advantage of these opportunities as you possibly can. You got to. Because teams want to throw the football, and not to mention, you playing against Patrick Mahomes this season. You playing against Justin Herbert this season. You playing against Dak Prescott this season. You playing against some of the best quarterbacks in the league, or quarterbacks that like to throw the football, or offenses that like to throw the football. You're going to need these guys to cover. You're going to need them. So I want to say this. I want to say this, and I want to make this very, very clear. If you had to trade him, if you were in dire need, and let's just say, for example, okay, if you traded Marshon Lattimore to the Texans and they gave you back Laramie Tunsil or something like that, which this is not going to happen because Laramie Tunsil is right now like top 3 best left tackle in football. If they did something like that, then I would understand because you need left tackle. Like you don't know what you're going to get with Trevor Penny. Something like that. But what can you get in return for Marshon Lattimore that you can honestly say will make your team better in 2024? Because here's the thing, because I already said, the reason why you would think about or consider trading Marshon Lattimore has absolutely nothing to do with his injuries or his injury history. It has everything to do with you're trying to make Dennis Allen feel comfortable. That is my opinion. So I'm looking at 2024, and the reason why I'm looking at 2024, Who Dat Nation, is simple. Because you don't know what Dennis Allen's future is going to be beyond 2024. So by trading Marshon Lattimore, did you make your 2024 better? No. No, you did not. You did not make your 2024 better if at the end of the season, you're firing a guy that you tried to make feel comfortable by trading a guy that he has an issue with in Marshon Lattimore. Tell me if that makes sense. It just doesn't. It doesn't make sense to me. But my final thought is very, very simple. Number one, don't trade Marshon Lattimore. And number two, they did your boy Derek Carr wrong. Like him being ranked 26 as a quarterback in the National Football League, according to CBS Sports. I don't agree with that, man. You got this guy ranked lower than quarterbacks that haven't even taken a snap yet. J.J. McCarthy, we don't know what he is. Caleb Williams, we don't know what he is. You got Aaron Rodgers, who has been great, but he only played, four plays in 2023. It was just mad disrespectful, man. You can have your reservations, your thoughts about Derek Carr, but he don't deserve to be number 26. He doesn't deserve that. But I want to say thank you all for checking out the State of the Saints podcast. I really do appreciate it. Much love to you. I ask that you hit the like button on your way out. I really do appreciate it. Subscribe if you're new to the channel. Hopefully we won you over. You can follow me on X at TJAY Jones 8. Special shout out to all, and I mean all of the people that may not have caught this show live, probably caught it when it was all said and done. So, shout out to the after show.
Shout out to them after show boys. Shout out to them after show boys. They be tweeting and be posting. They be tweeting and be posting. They be tweeting. Yeah, them after show boys. They be tweeting and be posting. They be tweeting and be posting. They be tweeting. Yeah, them after show boys.
Shouts out to all the ASBs out there, the ASGs. Really do appreciate you. Subscribe to the channel. Previous episodes available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Anchor FM. And put some respect on Derek Carr's name. He's not number 26, even though a lot of his stats came at garbage time. Put some respect on that man's name, man. He's ranked higher than 26. But thank you all so much. Have a good morning, noon, night, whenever you're checking out this podcast. And like always, all I got to say is, who dat?
Thank you for listening to my daddy's podcast.
Hey, don't let these tears fool you. There's all dog around this mug. I'm good.